Welcome to another episode of our channel. In this video, we'll talk about an act of sabotage ordered by Russia against Poland and the significant increase in the intensity of the hybrid war launched by the Kremlin across Europe. To understand the seriousness of what happened on the Warsaw-Lublin railway line, we need to look at the map. This is not just any route, with the city of Lublin being a crucial point, an important part of the logistics corridor, which supplies Ukrainian resistance with weapons, ammunition, and humanitarian aid from the West. It is estimated that more than half of all defensive aid used by Ukraine in its war against the Russian aggressor. Therefore, when the saboteurs, who according to investigations were fugitive Ukrainian criminals already convicted in Ukraine for sabotage, were recruited by Russian intelligence services and placed explosives on that line, the message was clear. The Russians do not consider NATO territory untouchable, and they are willing to stretch the cord. Poland's reaction was perhaps the most severe diplomatically since the beginning of the Russian invasion of Ukraine in 2022, with the Polish Foreign Minister, Radosław Sikorski, ordering the closure of the Russian consulate in Gdańsk, the last one still operating in the country. But Warsaw did not stop at diplomacy, with the government announcing Operation Horizon, sending thousands of additional soldiers to protect critical infrastructures and the borders with Russia in Kaliningrad and Belarus, from where the dictator Lukashenko, following Vladimir Putin's direct orders, constantly launches thousands of illegal immigrants against the Polish border. And we cannot forget the context, with this attack occurring a few weeks after a massive violation of Polish airspace by Russian drones. And we're not talking about one or two lost drones, we're talking over 24, with some even causing physical damage. The question is this just noise or a new phase of the war? You've probably heard the term hybrid war, a term I frequently discuss on the channel. It has become a cliché. But what we're seeing in Poland is the practice application of the exact definition from the manual of this concept. Hybrid war is the art of fighting in the so-called gray zone, which is that nebulous space between absolute peace and declared war. Russia's objective here is not, at least yet, to send tanks against Warsaw, as that would trigger NATO's Article 5 and start World War III. Something that even Putin, with all his crazy rhetoric, does not seem to desire at the moment. But Putin wants chaos, and he seeks it in various ways. For example, physical sabotage, like what we saw on Polish tracks and mysterious fires in European warehouses. The cost to Russia is very low, as they often hire amateur criminals via telegram to do the dirty work. But the psychological and economic cost to Europe is very high. Putin also uses immigrants as a weapon at the Belarusian border, and the drone incursion is to test Poland and NATO's response time. Psychological warfare is also an important component of the Russian hybrid war, aiming to create a constant sense of insecurity among the population. The idea is to make the average European citizen question if it's really worth supporting Ukraine, if it's bringing attacks to their backyard. In this way, Russia operates just below the threshold of what would justify a direct military response from NATO, a tactic I often call slicing salami, with Russians taking a thin slice of security here, another thin slice there, with each slice or isolated action seeming too small to start a war. But the accumulation of these slices changes the continent's strategic reality. So what does Vladimir Putin really want with all these attacks and provocations in Europe? We can identify three main objectives, the first being logistics. The war in Ukraine is a war of attrition and logistics today, and Moscow knows very well that it cannot defeat Kyiv if the weapons continue flowing freely through the Polish border. Therefore, attacking the logistics hub in Poland is a desperate attempt to strangle the Ukrainian supply right at the source. If they can make Western insurers and transport companies fear operating in Poland, they win a crucial battle without firing a missile in Ukraine. Secondly, there's the test of NATO's unity. With Putin, whenever he conducts an attack on alliance territory, posing a dangerous question: Are you really going to defend every inch of your territory? If more than 20 Russian drones invade Polish airspace, with some crashing onto houses, or if a train derails in Poland and NATO only issues a statement of disapproval, the Kremlin understands it can push a little further. Basically, they are testing red lines, with Russia betting on the political and military fragmentation of the West. And finally, in third place, we have fatigue and fear. By bringing the smell of gunpowder inside the European Union, Russia wants to spread fear among European societies and exhaust their patience. It's a bet on weariness and trying to get Europeans to see their internal security as the #1 agenda, pushing support for Ukraine to second place. To conclude, we need to look at the real risk here, with military history teaching us that wars often don't start by decision but by miscalculation. Poland is not just any NATO country. It's the country that invests the most in defense percentage-wise today. And it's the country with the most traumatic historical memory concerning Russia, with the Poles making it very clear they are not bluffing about their security. By turning up the heat with railway explosions and drones in the skies, Russia is playing with fire in a powder keg. And the risk of an accident, like a drone crashing in a residential area, or a train derailment killing dozens of Polish civilians, is extremely high. And if that happens, the pressure for a real military response from Poland will be uncontrollable. The closure of the Russian consulate in Gdansk is the end of a diplomatic era, meaning that bridges have been burned. What remains now are militarized borders and a Europe that has already woken up to the fact that it is already at war against Russia. A war not yet fought with missiles, but that is already leaving marks and craters on NATO territory. And if you are not yet subscribed to the channel, subscribe now and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any updates.